y'all. You're listening to the Legacy, Lyrics, and Life podcast. I'm your host, Shawna Wells, your legacy architect. Welcome. This is the podcast where we'll uncover what legacy really means and the impact we can all have when we are present. Let's get started. All right, y'all. Well, today I have the pleasure of sitting with one of my fundamentally favorite people, mostly because she just doesn't fall in line. She has become a sister to me, but she is a sister to many Black women. She runs her own company and has had a journey on building a company built for people to thrive. Her company is called First Years, and her name is TSJ, and I am happy to be with her today. She's going to give you schooling on her full government name, as she often does. And TSJ, welcome.
Thank you, Shawna.
Can you give us a little bit of who you are, not the internet version of who you are, but who you are, who are your people?
The internet don't know me. I'm Tanya, born Tanya St.Julien, but please don't call me that. Call me TSJ. It's a wonderful name that my parents gave me. I am the eldest of 3 children, born to 2 Haitian immigrants. I'm very, very proud of my parents' story, which is part of my story. I was raised in New York on Long Island. We were the only Black family. And so that's like a whole 17 podcasts of being the only Black family in a community and to be immigrants at that. So accents and strange foods and smells and music on the 4th of July. I am deeply in love with Black women. I believe they are my superpower, working on that trademark for real. I believe that they're everybody's superpower. You can't be in the company of a Black woman without standing taller, feeling better, honestly breathing clearer. And I have chosen to just live in the margins. Growing up, I was in the margins because my family and we were just so different. And I didn't realize that had actually become one of my superpowers until a couple of summers ago, after a really terrible breakup and trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was having lunch with a friend for my birthday, and she was like, "But Tan, this is always where you grow. Like, you've never been like the rest of us. And that's why we love you so much. Like, you show us possibility because we can't even conceive of the things that are your norm." And she had no idea just like how much affirmation she was giving me in that statement. And I was like, hell yeah, that's so true. Like, my entire journey, personal, professional, what have you, has always been so different from that of my peers. And yet I have been able to form deep community and deep relationships because I don't deny any aspect of who I am or my lived experience. And I find that actually does help bond me to people and things in a way that is just made for me, TSJ. I'm not sure if that's what you were asking me, but that's what I got for you.
Well, you answered the question you wanted to answer in alignment with your legacy. So that's who you are. So tell me, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you on the show and I wanted folks to hear you is because like you're not fully bought into this legacy thing that we talk about. And I think it's useful for us to really interrogate the word, the idea, and to be on a journey together as people who have grown up and lived in the margins, really exploring the newness of what it means to intentionally live a legacy. And it's a privilege, right? And part of the discomfort is actually we've never, as a full community, been able to talk in this way. So tell me, when you think about the word legacy, what comes up for you? How do you define it? Give us the tea.
When I think of legacy, I think of a gnarled set of fingers on like yellowed pages of a book. I think of pictures that are fading. I think of a multi-generational scene of people, of women. I think of food. I think of warm smells. And none of that is at all like alive in my life. All of my grandmothers have passed. My sisters and I have not had children. I remain unpartnered. And so that vision of legacy, and that is often what I hear people talk about when they talk about legacy, like generational wealth and learning and lessons. And like, unless something happens, I am the last of my parents' children. This is as far as their line goes. And that feels hard for me. It feels, again, I'm in the margins and I'm unable to explore this and have conversations in the seemingly easy fashion that everyone else is able to do that.
I love that you brought this in, right? As I hear you talk, I'm like, dang, yeah. Like when I work with leaders and they talk about legacy, most of them are talking about passing it on to the next phase of their lineage, whatever that looks like. And the question is like, what else is possible on legacy? And how might we broaden the definition or work in the margins of the definition? What comes up for you as I share that?
I've been trying to make sense of this, right? I think we sat a few times and tried to talk legacy, and I was just trying to paint this picture, but I couldn't because I cannot identify with a bloodline of legacy. The closest
Mm.
I can come to is young people that I've taught or mentored, maybe some contribution, a work. That's a way that folks can like remember the TSJ and experience something that I cared about in my wake, but I'm stuck there.
And yet we keep talking about it. Like, there's something that you're
You keep talking. What?
no. All right, y'all, I'm gonna tell you, TSJ called me 2 weeks ago and she was like, "I need you to teach me how to coach on legacy."
That is correct.
Tell the people.
She is correct. I did, but it wasn't for me, it was for other people. Like, it's hard for me to think about how it applies to me.
Well, what do you find compelling about it?
I think backwards planning is, like, the way to go. For me, it certainly has. What is the end? What is the vision toward which you are working? And I think it is exciting. And I think it breathes new life into short term pain. I think it opens up all sorts of avenues for curiosity, right? Like when you talk about legacy, you're talking about 7 generations. So if I'm thinking about the impact I want to have for people to experience 7 generations later, I'm thinking so intentionally about how much I love and the words I'm sowing and the coins I am investing and sewing for 7 generations later for folks to be like, "Auntie, mommy, whatever, Tanya." I think that is super great. I don't know how that applies to me, but for the leaders that I coach, as they are navigating the tough space as often as Black women who are moms, who are aunties, who are daughters, right? Like that crazy place where you become the matriarch of the family and now your mom and your aunties are dependent on you. They're navigating these spaces personally, and it is showing up professionally because they are dope ass leaders who have beautiful vision and their teams are looking to them and they're mothering their organizations as well. And so I feel like traditional tools that I have used hit a bit of a wall when I'm helping them to reconcile these spaces and to make a set of decisions that will impact their lives and the lives of the people they love so much for generations. I don't have yet that frame, and I trust that you do. So that's why I asked for some legacy coaching. Maybe you should legacy coach me too and help me to see beyond this wall because I can't.
Well, I think what you're speaking to is something we all have trouble accessing, right? It's like, how do we see the world beyond ourselves? What is it that is compelling to us about that? And what I'm so grateful for, TSJ, when we talk about this, is your grappling leads me to think about who am I beyond momming, right? Who am I beyond being a daughter? And what am I actually aiming to leave? And how can I clarify that beyond the traditional roles that legacy would put us in? So when you think about the untraditional role that you feel like you're in, or as you say, sitting on the margins in, what are the possibilities of legacy there? And you don't have to have a real, like, I'm just curious.
I know it sounds hokey, but the furthest I've been able to get in terms of answering that for myself is love and service. I don't know what that looks like in 7 generations, but I think the way that I love and that I hope people experience my love is able to, I don't know, survive 1 or 2 generations, right? I have nephews who I adore and who I'm constantly preaching to and sharing lessons with. It's, oh, here comes Auntie Tan or Yaya, as I'm called. But I don't know that it goes 7 generations, right? Like it's at deep penetration. I don't know how that level of penetration survives outside of bloodline creation or like creating the next Amazon. But there's something like there's love service slash creation. And I don't, yeah, like love and service, I don't know, maybe like a lifetime. I don't know if I see my nephews like talking to their kids about like my auntie. Maybe, like maybe there are some things there. And then the other thing is create a product, create an institution, or create a life.
or create an agitation. I don't know. As you were talking, I'm like, I love Sister Harriet. I'm sitting here thinking about Harriet Tubman's actual legacy. It didn't have anything to do with kids.
I mean, she was survived by children. She was survived by a lot of children.
Sure. And I don't think about that when I think about her legacy. Do you?
Yeah. She got a lot of people free.
I would say her legacy, like a literally stand up statue in my living room. So that's a piece of her legacy, right? But what does that bring up for you as you think about there are people who have legacies outside of children?
Yeah. Not a lot, but yeah.
Where'd you go? You were like, the people can't see you, but I can. You look to the side a little bit. Where'd you go?
My imagination. That's what people do. I just, yeah, I like you said, there are folks, and I thought of the Harriet. It is not necessarily her bloodline that makes her someone that we treasure so much, someone that you treasure so much. I'm trying to think of others.
I mean, this idea of creation was what got me there, right? And then we think about modern day examples like Beyonce. I'm bringing her in because she has created something out of nothing, legitimately an empire, which is connected to her children, but that's a legacy.
Yeah, for sure.
So I wonder if we thought from creation what it might do to agitate this idea of legacy. What are your opinions about how a legacy gets seen?
You asked it bumpy, but this is a good question. The root of this it's a good question.
I know. There was something there. I was like,
Yeah, because I was going there too in my mind. It almost feels like you read my mind. Just thinking about
I did.
how much noise there is. There's just so much information and so many images and so many add water, mix some strange values, societal heroes. Like there's just so much of that stuff. And then I went to, but is that what legacy is? Does it need to be some like a name and lights? Back to 7 generations, right? I don't need to have my name on a billboard in 7 generations. And does the legacy have to be associated with me? What if it is an experience that is indeed a like a dividend of some stuff that I've created or contributed, but they don't know that it's TSJ? Does your legacy have to be named or attributed to you? Maybe definitionally. I don't know. I have never looked up the definition of legacy. I've always thought about it as associated to a person or with a person, but I don't know. I don't know. Now I'm asking a lot more questions.
I think there are a lot of questions to ask. When we think about legacy, when I think about legacy, as I work alongside folks, I ask them this question. Picture what's happening 140 years from now because of you, because you were here. And the answer is never about a building. It's never about a thing. It's never about that. It is always about, I work with mostly Black and Brown leaders. It's always about my people are better off and there's more access and there's more questions about liberation. What is happening because we were here and why it's happening? And does it have to be a thing? And a thing is also a bloodline, right? Does it have to be a physical manifestation? Or could it literally just be the world's different because I was here? What do you think of that?
Now I'm getting geeky. I'm thinking about the difference.
She took her hood off, y'all.
It's serious. I'm thinking about the difference and similarities between a wave in water versus dropping a pebble in the water. And like the organisms in the body of water and how they benefit from like the movement. Is it the same? I don't know. Like Beyonce would be a wave, right? Like that thing is like seismic. And that's fine for the organisms that live in that body of water and her sphere of influence, global. Maybe I have a different sphere of influence, and mine is the ripple in the
Mm.
water and how that oxidizes the water in such a way that I don't know. Like I'm getting real geeky, but that is the thinking that was triggered when you said that.
I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in our environment. So when you think about like the image of the pebble dropping and the ripple effects of the one decision or the one life that is led, what then that opens up for other lives. Like when we think about the inertia of that and the legacies that then get connected to that one legacy, that's pretty powerful thing to think about. Like my brain is like firing right now on how many legacies it actually took me to get here for better or for worse, and how many legacies it will take for what I believe to move forward, right? Like my legacy is connected to yours now forever. That's profound.
The ripple in the rave. Somebody should write about that.
You could. You want to make a t-shirt?
No,
It's an option.
it is. I think I am squarely a ripple. I don't know if ripples make t-shirts.
That's a question for later. Probably we could toss it to the audience. Do ripples make t-shirts?
I'm really teasing this out. I'm sure somebody's written about it.
What if they haven't? What are you teasing out in your head?
I don't know, like you just said, a million and one questions are firing.
I wonder, like, this makes me think perhaps we can actually ask the tough questions of the community here, right? And I'll share my experience of teaching legacy and being a coach for legacy is that most people want to have one. They want to have it. And I want to drink water every day and I want to like be the most healthy self.
Yeah.
And actually, the journey for legacy is deeply complex, right? It's a daily practice of committing and recommitting to this thing you said you wanted to leave when you are no longer here. And the push for everyone is like, yeah, you said that. And are your actions aligned to that? And are you asking yourself the tough and agitating questions that actually get you to really be secure with the legacy you're aiming to leave? And so I wonder if we can actually just agitate some of those questions. Like, what are the questions that on the path to legacy we need to ask?
I think one of the hardest is, does everybody get to leave a legacy? Like when we're little and we start and we just put people in boxes, like that's the smart one. That's the sporty one. I'm the fun, right? Like, and we put ourselves in boxes too. I just wonder, even for myself, because my life doesn't look like this, I don't get to, or like I shouldn't. Legacy is not for me. It's for that person, it's for those people. So I think a really tough question is indeed, is this for me? Is thinking about the legacy for me? I'm okay with being a good person, doing a good job, and keeping it moving. Legacy is for people like Beyonce. Legacy is for people like Shawna. There's just something there around a set of questions to get everyone feeling or to get people feeling like actually this is for them. It's not for special people who live a certain type of life. But legacy planning is really for everyone. And it doesn't always have to be a wave, it can be a ripple. And it's just fine. That is not what you invited me to do. But that's where I was.
No, it actually, I think what I hear in your question, like, in what ways do humans build legacy? And as you started, as we started this conversations and in conversations we have before, it's like we have been conditioned to think legacy is bloodline. We've been conditioned to think that legacy is only left if you live a certain type of life. And everyone from our immediate ancestors to indigenous folk would tell us, like, actually, no, legacy is for everyone. And the decision you make today could impact someone in a way that you have no idea. One generation from now, two generations from now, seven generations from now. And I don't know if I've said this to you before, but when I started the school, I used to say to my staff, we don't do this work for this generation. I love the kids in front of me. But more importantly, I do it for their children because that's the only way to break the cycle over time.
I don't know. What if my shit is the environment and people are cool, but that's not necessarily the thing that compels me? And again, no bloodline. But if waste is 0.0003% less as a result of work that I've done, that is indeed part of my legacy. There's room for legacy to look all kinds of ways because we look all kinds of ways and we love all kinds of ways and all kinds of things.
Which then makes me think, what if legacy was actually, what if we took a collective approach to legacy, right? So there's something about the individualistic nature of what we're conditioned to think that makes it hard to connect my legacy to someone else's. To believe that because I was here, someone else's life might be different is actually acceptance that we are indeed all connected.
Hugh. We are the world. We are the ones to make a better place. So let's start living our
Yo, do you remember
legacy.
that? Do you remember they had 75 people on the stage singing that song? Do you
Yeah.
remember that?
Yes. Dionne Warwick, Michael Jackson, Cyndi Lauper, all in the same sting. It's just,
Collective legacy that they left. Look at that.
it's here today. Look at us.
If not for that, where would we be?
I would not have had a song to punctuate the moment. Thank you, whoever wrote that thing and produced it.
Yes, thank you. See, and we don't even know who that person is, but they changed our lives.
I'm sure we can Google it.
Yeah, I mean, the Google is a fascinating thing.
It is a very fascinating thing.
So we've been on this journey interrogating this idea of legacy, which thank you for provoking, I think, a set of questions that are important. I heard, does everybody get to leave a legacy as a question? I heard, are you a ripple or a wave? I heard, or I shared, what are the conditions of a legacy? And then this last question on, are we ready to embrace that legacy is actually a collective experience? Which that's a new question for me, honestly.
That's a big one too, because it feels like a solo project, but like nothing is a solo project.
And the idea of thinking of a legacy without, like, now that we are talking about it, I'm like, that sounds ridiculous to think of a legacy independently as a solo endeavor.
That's helpful for me. I'll say that, right? Again, I don't have a partner, I don't have children, and that is different for me, my family, my peers. I am unique in that way. And often I just feel like I do everything by myself. I travel alone because my lifestyle is so different. So much of what I do is mine and mine alone. And there's comfort in thinking that legacy is something that I do in community. And that expands a little bit of my thinking because most of what I do is like all me. I'm in when I want to be in, I'm out when I want to be out. I'm funky when I want to be funky. It's just, it's all me, a gift and sometimes a curse. Yeah, I'll do some thinking on that.
Me too. Me too. Before we part ways for now, which I know you'll text me right after, I want to ask you, share with us, is there a lyric from a song that as you contemplate legacy, you think of?
I don't know, there's so many, but right now, all I'm thinking is grand opening, grand closing. That's Jay-Z. I came into this world with a bang. I come into a room with a bang. Sometimes it's a silent bang, but it's a bang if you're paying attention. And when it's time for me to go, it's gonna be with the bang, and people gonna remember that bang. My people. That's all I got.
It's pretty brilliant.
I don't know, it's Jay-Z and
Well, it's not a water wave, but it is a seismic wave.
or something.
You see what I did there?
It's gonna be a vibe.
It's a vibe. What feels worth pondering from this conversation?
The ripple and wave. Gosh, I'm so good. And legacy and community. And even the challenge of bloodline, like that's real. It's still a wall. Like we had this conversation, but it remains a wall for me unless I'm contributing, like I'm creating a thing like Amazon or creating a human, cultivating a human, even adoption and fostering matter. And that may be a thing that I do. It is hard for me to see outside of that. So that's why the ripple and the wave will be something I continue to think about.
Me too.
And I wanna stop naming Amazon. That's an only creation.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about, like, Fenty.
Oh, yes. TSJ, deep gratitude for hanging out today and for really interrogating the idea of legacy. I think in the evolution of the conversation on legacy, it deserves our attention and our interrogation so that when we set them, we mean them. So thank you for joining us in that conversation.
I appreciate you. Thank you for inviting me, Shawna P.
You're always invited to the party. Thank you for listening to Legacy, Lyrics, and Life. We hope you'll join us on the next episode as we continue to expand and explore life through legacy. If you know someone else who would enjoy this show, be sure to share. Always a pleasure. Until next time.